All right, let's take a look at the this keyword and indexers in C#. So here in Visual Studio, we will add a class. And once again, this class will be called car. And we will add a method. And again, it really doesn't matter what the method does. The point is, when we call this method, because this is an instance method, we're always calling it within the instance of a particular object. In other words, as I go back to main, I can create my car. And once I've instantiated my object, I can call the methods on that object. But now let's imagine that I want to call a method from within the class itself. In other words, let's create another method. And from within the first method, call that method. So the question is, which object is actually calling shift? Now, we recognize that it's the same object that called drive, but nonetheless, there are times when it's nice to be able to refer to that object. And the way you do that is with the this keyword. So this, which is a keyword in C#, means the current object, whatever the current object might be. Now, we don't often need it, but there are times when it's very nice to be able to refer to the object in question. To illustrate this, let's create a piece of data to represent something that we might want to move from one object in the class to another. And then we create an associated method that takes as a parameter an object of the class. So in this case, we're exchanging a piece of data called wheels, and we save the original wheels away, and then set the wheels of the current object to another car's wheels, and then set the other car's wheels to the original wheels. Implicit in all of this is whenever we're actually talking about the current object, the keyword, this. And as you can see, that's optional in this case. If it makes the code more readable, then use it. And if it doesn't, there's no need for it. Sometimes you'll see the use of the this keyword with parameters. For example, let's say that the name of a parameter, in this case wheels, is the same as the name of a property, wheels. Then this statement, although is technically legal, is probably not what you want. What's actually going to happen here, as it's written, is that the value of the parameter wheels will be written back to the parameter wheels. And probably what we meant was this. Of course, this problem can be avoided if you don't make your parameter names the same as your property names. But again, if it makes the code more readable, then by all means. Another place you use this keyword is with something known as an indexer. So an indexer is a way to make an object look a little bit like an array. So for example, let's add a little code to our class. So from this, we can see that I've created an enumeration representing the locations of the wheels on the car. And then I've got an indexer, which as we can see is really just a form of a property. And I've created an internal array representing the pressure on each of those wheels. And I'm using as an index the wheel location to determine which element of the array I return. Now in this case, I do actually have an array in the implementation of my object, but it doesn't have to be an array. It could literally be anything. And I can also add a set part. And of course, it's the code here where I might want to make sure that the tire pressure value being assigned is appropriate, but I'm not going to add that code in for now. So suffice to say that I could easily do that. I can then go back to my main and make use of that indexer like so. I think it's worth pointing out here that typically you're not going to see an expression as long as car wheel location left front as your index value into any kind of indexer. I'm just showing you that it's possible and that we can have an object that has use of the square brackets operator to do anything that we like. And that's what indexers are. And as I didn't point it out before, note that this is where the this keyword goes for indexers. And it's this use of the this keyword that's required. If you want to have an indexer, you're going to have to put the this keyword in that location. So that's the this keyword and indexers in C#.